Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about my failed Shopify store. So diving right into it, we're going to first talk about what the company was, what we sold, and what we did. And then second, I'm going to talk about the 5 lessons that I learned from this failed Shopify website. And just as a little background information, this was a water bottle store. I sold 32-ounce stainless steel, vacuum-sealed water bottles. So diving into the website here, we were called Drip Bottles. This was our logo, the 3 raindrops right there. I thought we had a pretty good-looking website. You know, welcome to Drip Bottles, stay hydrated. A link to our social media, some testimonials. And here we have our products. And up at the top, we have our products page and our about page. Going back to the products, you know, we had 2 different lid styles, this twist lid and this twist cap lid. 8 colors each, a couple reviews for each bottle, and you know, you had the different colors you could cycle through and look at here. A little bit of a description here with some reviews. And overall, I didn't think this was too bad of a website. I mean, not super professional, obviously, but, you know, I thought I would get the job done to get a little bit of sales here. Now, switching over to our social media or our Instagram page, we have Drip Water Bottles, right? And at our peak, we had just as many followers as we were following. So it looks like we've lost a lot of followers since then, but at one point, we had 570 or about 600 followers for this Instagram page. You know, we had some pretty cool pictures going on here, and most of them, you know, got around 30 likes. So not a huge social media presence, but enough to kind of get rolling there. And in essence, that was the company. You know, we just sold those 32-ounce water bottles. Now, I recorded almost everything in terms of finances for the company, just on an Excel spreadsheet here. So I created kind of a debits and credits and kind of from an accounting standpoint of all the transactions that had occurred for this business. I believe this business was up and going for about 11 months. And kind of going to our income statement here, we sold 61 water bottles in total, which isn't a ton for 11 months, but let me give you a little bit of background behind that. So I was in college, my last semester of college, I decided to kind of do this. It took me forever to get products shipped over to me. It took me forever to kind of get the pictures and the logo and everything going. So there's about a month or 2 there where it was just kind of that building phase. And I didn't have a ton of time to work on this because I was busy with my last semester in college, and I wasn't super dedicated to this idea or this store. I just wanted to make a little bit of extra money on the side. And looking at our financials here, it looks like from those 61 bottles, we sold $1,129 worth of bottles. So our revenue was $1,100, which comes out to be, if we do some quick math here, that's about $18.51 a bottle. And so originally I was selling the bottles at $25, but then towards the end I got a little lazy, started selling them for $20, and I just wanted to get rid of inventory, so to friends and family I was selling them for $15. So not huge margins, and let's kind of dive into that. Let's actually zoom in a little bit here. But then here we can see that the cost of goods sold, or the costs of those sold 61 bottles, was $1,104.59, which is just the cost to purchase the bottles. Now, originally, I believe I had bought around 100 bottles, and I originally bought 30 of those bottles up front was kind of the minimum sample size I could buy from my supplier. And I had to buy those a little bit more expensive because I only bought 30. So it was about $12 a bottle, and then I bought 70 more bottles after I kind of did a quality inspection on them and received the product. And those bottles turned out to be around $9. So just between our revenue and our cost of goods sold, our gross profit was about $25, which really isn't a lot for a business that was running for 11 months. But let's dive in a little deeper and I'll explain why. And essentially, I really only sold bottles to friends and family. most which were hand delivered, right? So I didn't have to pay for shipping, which was a plus and helped on my margins. However, I still did sell a little bit of a few bottles to people that I didn't know, right, through marketing. But if you look here, my total marketing expense, and you can kind of see the bulk, through month 3 and 8 is kind of when I did more of a push for marketing, try to sell more bottles. And I spent about $380, almost $400 on marketing. And this is mostly social media marketing through Facebook and Instagram and things like that. And I have a miscellaneous R&D expense, and my total shipping expense was $150. And then we had a total operating expense of $530, and our total operating profit for this little side hustle, this venture, was negative $500. So not a very profitable venture, but I learned so much. And before I talk about the 5 lessons I learned, I just want to clarify here in month 10, there's an unnecessarily large cost of goods sold for a small amount of revenue or sales. I made a donation to a local ultimate frisbee team, a local high school ultimate frisbee team, and I donated about $430 worth of water bottles to them. So each player on the team got a water bottle. I think it ended up to be around 30 or 40 water bottles. But I also want to call out my shipping expense, which leads me to the first lesson I learned, which is to not underestimate shipping, especially the complexity involved with shipping. So most of the water bottles I sold were to family and friends. However, there were a couple that I sold to random people through social media marketing and things like that. And I had to ship the bottles out. And it was costing me, to ship one bottle, it was costing me about $11.10. Now, if I sold these bottles at $25, between cost of goods sold, the cost to buy the item, and the cost to ship it, I was making $2 in profit because it was $23 for those things. I didn't realize how expensive shipping was going to be. Now, I could have saved, and I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this, I could have saved an additional $1 by printing out the labels myself. But as I mentioned, I was in my college apartment and I did not have a printer, and I could have gone somewhere to get the labels printed and things, but for me it was just easier, and I saved more time just going to the post office, finding the cheapest way to ship them. So it was and that was also one of the reasons why I started to close off this side hustle, was because shipping was getting to be expensive. If you didn't order more than 2 water bottles in a transaction or in an order, I really wasn't making any money there. And another thing with shipping to consider is you need packaging. You need to make sure that packaging is safe and secure and doesn't damage the product. So shipping is a lot more complex than I had originally thought. It costs money to get those things shipped. You really need to think about how you're packaging it and how you're gonna ship it. And that leads me to the second lesson that I learned, and it has to do about advertising. Be prepared to spend lots of money on advertising because you got to get your product out there. I spent, as you can see here from my income statement, I spent almost $400 on marketing, and I probably only got 15 sales from that $400. So starting out, you're going to be spending a lot more money than you're going to be selling, if that makes sense. So your marketing expense, until you build up your brand and get that word of mouth going, you're not going to have the type of operating margin that you want, essentially, until later on. That paid marketing takes a lot of money to get going. I mean, there's tons of free ways to market your product out there, but me personally, I just didn't have the time to go out and do those things, or really the drive to accomplish them for this little side hustle. Another lesson that I learned, so lesson number 3, or just another lesson I learned, is that you need to differentiate. If you're going out there selling water bottles like I was, you need to find a way to differentiate. So, I mean, take Takia, for example, here. They sell tons of water bottles. And here's a 32-ounce bottle selling for $35. But if you look, their water bottle isn't much different from the lid on mine or the style of bottle mine is. So I don't differentiate in functionality, in style, or really in quality. And you might say, well, hey, wait, your water bottles were cheaper than that. Yours were $25 and even $20 versus the $35. This next part is super important. Differentiating in price is not a competitive advantage unless you can buy your product for cheaper than the competitor. And in my case, I know I was probably spending more on my product than Takia was. So Takia has higher margins because it takes less for them to make their bottle. They're selling it for more. So really for me, I'm just making less money. So that's not a great way to differentiate. The next lesson that I learned was that you need to negotiate with suppliers. I cannot tell you how easy it would have been for me if I would have, how much cheaper I could have got those bottles if I would have negotiated. When I got those samples, they just told me the price, how much it was going to cost, and I paid it. But then I negotiated after that to get the bottles cheaper, $2 less per bottle by negotiating and ordering more. So just talking to the supplier, they'll cut off money for you if you're ordering enough quantity. And establish a relationship with them so that you can get those deals. Lesson number 5, or this last lesson that I really want to talk about, is kind of a general concept in business. Fail fast and learn fast. And in my case, I dragged this on for 11 months. I spent more money than necessary on the website, or keeping the website running for that long, and things like that. So make sure that you're learning quickly. If you throw an ad campaign out there and you spend $100 on it and you get one sale, well then change your ad campaign. You got to figure out a different way. Don't just keep doing that over and over again. Don't keep repeating the same thing or the same mistakes. Learn from your errors and adjust quickly. And that will help you adapt your business to actually creating the creating the revenue or the volume that you need to be successful or that you want in order to start making money. So overall, be all in. Make sure you're willing to put in the work to make the changes necessary to make your company succeed. I was not willing to do that in my case. I just didn't have the time with a new job, graduating college, and things like that. I just didn't feel like I had enough time, or I didn't want to dedicate enough time to make it work. So just keep that in mind. So overall, this was a failure for me, a huge $500 loss. But in all honesty, this was a great experience for me. I learned a ton of lessons, 5 of which I talked about. And it was just a great overall experience for me to learn kind of how to run a business from a small scale. Thanks for watching till the end. Please subscribe, smash that like button. I would really appreciate that. Thank you and have a great rest of your day.